So I am thrilled to invite Kim on the call. We met through a women's networking group. If you've never heard of it, WISOS, Women Entrepreneurs, Secrets of Success. I absolutely adore everything she's doing. She's a hypnotherapist, she's a manifestation coach, and she gave a presentation to our chapter on how to really improve your attraction statements and like working on the right verbiage for the accurate manifestation. And I was like, I was just like in total awe. And I said, I have got to get you in front of my team and someone who does the law of attraction and does the manifestation and believes in all of that. I learned so much. And I do not pride myself to be an expert, but I am somewhat knowledgeable. And I just thought, oh my gosh, if it shifted me and I, came away with really, really, really good nuggets, I wanted to share that with all of you. So I want to introduce Kim. I don't want to tell you her whole story, but she's a former CPA, now incredibly gifted and talented hypnotherapist and manifestation coach. She's like all things outdoors. She's a rock climber. She moved to Colorado from Nebraska. She's super fun. And I'll just say that I think I have like the most strong intuition, especially when it comes to just deciphering like good eggs and bad eggs. And the minute I met her, I was like, this woman is a heart of gold. She's full of integrity. She's full of authenticity. And I'm so thankful and grateful that on a Monday afternoon, she's going to volunteer her time to light you guys up. So Kim, I'm going to make you the host, and then from there, you should be able to share the screen.
Thank you for that amazing introduction. And all right, share screen. So get my technology set up here. Easier with visuals, I find. All right, everybody see a pretty PowerPoint? Okay. Why is the view? There we go. So really achieving success with powerful affirmations. And as Lauren mentioned, she does the goal statements. I'm sure she's taught a lot of you that as well. And this is really how to level up that setting intention and using the power of language for you to make it happen now as your reality. And as Lauren mentioned, I was a CPA, did taxes. It about killed me. I developed a chronic illness with just a few of these symptoms, and it basically destroyed my entire life and way of being. And the doctors at a certain point were like, okay, it's not a tumor. Good luck. Here's some medicines. And I'm like, that's not going to work for me. I was only 32 years old at that time. And so I went searching and I found my way to hypnotherapy and really this kind of new affirmational way of making my life. And I healed my body. I healed my mind. I got rid of a lot of junk that was built up in me, because if we don't process our emotions and experiences in life and like kind of let them out of ourselves, they'll find a place to live within us. And that's what had happened to me. It was something that's known as a psychosomatic illness, where the cause is emotionally based, not physically based. So I went out and I learned how to do all these amazing things that helped me heal my body, as well as just heal my life. My life was kind of depressed. I was negative. I was critical. I focused on everything that was bad. And now I see all the good. I've manifested amazing things for myself. And I just want to share part of how I did that, which is through crafting unique statements about my goals and how I'm going to be in the world. So let's dive right in. And first off, who here's kind of heard of affirmations at this point? A lot of people. So what is an affirmation? It's really just the assertion that something exists or is true. And our subconscious mind, it doesn't really differentiate between what's reality and what's not. Fact and fiction don't matter to it. So when we give it new ideas, it's going to accept it as true as long as there's not something blocking the way. So all I do with hypnosis is really relax that critical thinking and allow new ideas to get in so that your mind just takes it and runs with it. And other ways of doing that besides hypnosis are repetition, doing the writing, and just different ways like that of asserting this new way of being, and that being your truth. And your subconscious mind will just pick up on it and run with it. One of my favorite affirmations I've worked with is that it's right, good, necessary, and natural. And we often forget to tell ourselves that things are right and good. In this world, our world is all about what not to do, what to avoid, what you shouldn't. It's bad. This is good. That's bad. And it's really just reminding ourselves that things are right and good, that they're necessary or natural, that those kind of 4 words covered a lot of things for me on reaffirming that things are good. And the simplest one is it's right, good, necessary, natural to do what is right for me. Therefore, I easily do what is right for me. Just kind of telling yourself that like, it's good to do what's good for me. It's good to do what's right for me. And the reason that this affirmation kind of popped up in my own life and clients is that I had an inner knowing that I needed to give up something that I was spending a lot of time and energy on, but wasn't right for me anymore. But I'd already made a commitment. So many of you ever made that time commitment? You're like, oh, I'm going to commit to this. But then at a certain point, you know it's not right for you. So that's what had happened to me. I knew it wasn't right anymore, but I'd already made a summer commitment. And what happened was it just kept getting more and more in the way, and it took all my time, my energy. And so what I did was, as I worked with my own coach, developed this reminder that I need to do what's right for me. And it was right for me to quit that, no matter the commitment, because it wasn't a good fit. And because it wasn't a good fit, it was going to be bad on all sides. So that's just one example of where sometimes you have to reinforce yourself to do what's right for yourself. Because especially as women, we often put ourselves to the side and ignore it. And so it's better to kind of reinforce that, tell yourself it's right. And with this one on that handout, all these affirmation examples from the PowerPoint are in that handout Lauren will send. And this one, I have kind of a blank version where you can fill in, like it's got the first half and you can fill out the second half for whatever you're working on personally. So let's dive into what do we want to avoid in statements. First off, you want to avoid negatives. You don't want to say you're not doing something anymore. Because as soon as you say the word not, your subconscious ignores it and pays attention to everything else. I know quite a few of you here are moms. How many of you have ever told the toddler, the small child, don't go jump on the couch? And what do they exactly run over and do? They jump on the couch. So your subconscious mind's a little bit like a toddler, where it doesn't hear that no. It just got an image of jumping on the couch, the same as the kid. And so your subconscious, for all intents and purposes, goes and jumps on the couch or does whatever you're telling it not to do. So you really you don't want a negative statement. You want to figure out what the opposite of it is. That's a question I ask most of my clients. It's like, what's the opposite of that for you? And that's what we affirm. Whatever they're trying to not have, it's like, okay, what is that for you? What's it look like? So second, you don't want to do future tense. So I will go to a meeting. I'm going to have $100,000 at the end of the year, because it always keeps the energy of that manifestation in the future. It's not making it a current happening. It's like, oh, I'm going to do that someday. Has anybody ever kind of said that? Like, I'm going to go do that someday. I'm going to take that vacation someday. And it never happens, right? It's because it's always out in the future. So when you say, I am taking that vacation next summer, or I am taking that vacation in 2 years, and you start asserting when it's going to happen and what, it brings it into the energy of now. So next, you want to be specific. Vague statements like, I'm going to be successful. Like, that's great, but it doesn't really, what are you going to succeed at? What does success look like to you? And so really specifying what it is you're achieving, what you want to achieve, and not just kind of the general affirmational statements you see out there, like, I feel better, I'm awesome. Like, those are good. But when you're doing goal setting, especially time frames, like those SMART goal settings are very important. And also, if you ever use the word confident, you want to specify what you're confident in, because it's a tricky word. We can absolutely be confident that we are going to fail. So if you want to make sure you're focusing on success, you want to focus in on, what are you confident in? I'm confident that I am succeeding. I'm confident that I will have 2 new partners by the end of the month. So things like that, where it's like, I'm confident in what? Next, there's words that I kind of think of as implicative words. And what that means is really, so effortless implies that there is effort. Carefree implies that there are cares. So these words where it's like, oh, this is now effortless for me, it still has the overtones of effort instead of like, oh, this is easy. So usually that's what I flip that to. Effortless becomes easy, with ease, something like that. And carefree is often just free. I am free to now achieve the life I want. I now am free, things like that. And then complex words. You want something that's easy to say because repetition, especially saying these out loud to yourself, is important. So you don't want to use words like implicative. Where they're harder, your tongue is going to stumble. And resourcefully, kind of those like really multi-syllabic words are good to avoid if you can find something simpler. Because it's just getting something that you can repeat to yourself out loud is going to help get it into your subconscious minds, because you're anchoring it with your vocal cords. You can feel it resonating in your body. So I highly recommend not only writing your goals, but also saying them out loud to yourself. And the way I instruct doing this is really to take a couple deep exhalations and center yourself in your body, and then say your statements. So usually 3 deep exhalations, really focusing on that exhale, because that's what's activating our parasympathetic nervous system and calming us. And then that gets you into a calmer state. And then you say those statements with a quiet, positive voice, because if you shout them to yourself, your critical mind's just going to slam up the door and not let new ideas through. So if you say something like, day by day in every way, I'm getting better and better, and just sitting there and calmly saying it to yourself a couple of times over, that really helps get it into your mind. And lastly, on this, you don't want to say, I can do something or I'm able to. I don't know if you ever, as a kid, when we started learning grammar, and you had, can I do something versus may I do something? So there's that difference of, I can do this. Like, oh, I can absolutely go out, earn $500,000, have 1 million downline people. Like, I can do a lot. I can succeed at this. And all that's doing is giving you the ability to do it. It's not actually saying you are doing it. So it's, I can succeed versus I am succeeding. So we really just avoid giving ourselves the ability to do something. Or if you say that, it's like, I can attract 5 new clients this month, and I do. So if you ever use the can statement, it's also linking it to the action of doing it, because otherwise it just kind of sits out there in the realm of possibility and doesn't happen in the world. So now that we've covered the things to avoid, let's dive into what are some words and things to include that make them more powerful. And the first one is that I am statements. It's really talking about the positive things in yourself, because often when we're trying to succeed at goals, there might be issues of value, worth, unlovable, and all sorts of other kind of misstatements that we tell ourselves, but at some point we believed were true. So to succeed, we often have to reverse that as well. So those are things like stating, I am worthy, therefore I joyfully have 10 or more new clients by the end of the month. So things like that, where it's like, I'm more than good enough, therefore I easily build a successful business that supports my family, and I have plenty of time with my kids. And so it's just restating those positive, amazing things about yourself and anchoring them into the goals you want to achieve. Capable, so you attract and sign new distributors, things like that, where as part of the handout, there's what's called the personal lies list that you can go through. And if you notice you ever say those things to yourself, it has the reversal and what to include. And I would link those to your goal statements. Just replace like I am worthy with whatever the one you find on that list is. So next is really emotions. On some of those examples, you notice I also included emotional words, because we do what we feel like doing. We often need motivation, and motivation just really is that I want to feel like getting new clients. I want to feel like building my business instead of it's a chore. So that's where we include the, like, kind of take those actions that you need to do, you need to do, and you tell yourself that you're going to be happy doing them and really anchoring in. It's like, oh yeah, I joyfully make this plan and sell my products because I take action on it. Of course, I naturally and easily earn this much. Or because I'm amazing and I'm part of this amazing team, I know and feel that I'm a success. And believing in yourself, that's also another one we'll cover a little more later, but it's just that anchoring those positive, fun emotions into your goals. And then it's easier and easier to go do the things because you feel like doing it. It's like, oh yeah, I feel happy when I do this. I feel joyful. It's like we'll all end up as Lauren in her morning dancing around with her gratitudes. So like things like that, where it's like you're really bringing that positive emotion to your things and what you're doing in those activities to make your business that success that you know it can be. So next is linking words. So the first linking word is therefore. So you typically take a linking word and you connect it to something you already believe and know about yourself, or you know about the products, and then you say, so therefore it naturally helps with the goal. So one of the biggest ones is like knowing that you provide value. Like what you're doing is an amazing value, and it's helping people really change their lives, their health, and all sorts of other amazing benefits. So of course, you naturally convey that value to prospective clients. And that's how you get the new clients, because they can sense that value coming from you when you really believe in the value. And that's what comes through. They'll see that alignment within you. And of course, it'll become easier and easier to get clients then. And then the biggest one is that middle one, time expanding. That's something anyone I ever run into, it's like, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. It's like, okay, well, let's just restate that. Time expands for me. So of course I have enough time to do X, Y, and Z. In this case, we often forget to take care of ourselves. So I usually plug that in. Family is important to some people, and then building your business. So it's whatever you're struggling with. And you can use this with kids as well. It's like, oh, you have a test coming up. So naturally you have time to study and take care of yourself, things like that, where it's just giving yourself the notion that you have plenty of time instead of reinforcing that you don't have time. Because that in today's world, it's that go, 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 go. And so we don't get that opportunity to like, no, I have time. I really do. And I spend it effectively. So that's where just that therefore comes into place, where it's like, okay, because of this, I have this. And then we get to my favorite word, because. So back in the 1970s, there was a kind of a psychology word study done. And it was back when you had to go to the copy machine at the library to make your copy pages and then take them home because we didn't have things to download from the internet easily. So what they did was this study of, were there words and phrases that could get people to let someone cut in line? And they found out the word because. So they did this study. They had a couple of researchers. They'd go up to, say, a line, 5 to 10 people. They'd ask someone, excuse me, I have 5 pages. May I use the Xerox machine? And then another person would use, excuse me, I have 5 pages. May I use the Xerox machine? Because I'm in a rush. And the last one was, excuse me, I have 5 pages. May I use the Xerox machine? Because I have to make copies. What they found out was that that first request of just simply, may I use the Xerox machine, actually resulted in 60% of people letting that person cut in line to make their copies sooner. The second one, just, may I use it, I'm in a rush, it resulted in 94% of people letting them in line. Now that last one, how many people think it was higher or lower than the may I use the Xerox machine first one? Who thinks higher? Who thinks lower? So it was 93% for the BS excuse of I'm in a rush, because everybody's there, everybody needs to make copies. So what they discovered was that word because is ultimately a foregone conclusion word, that anything that follows because it's going to happen. So when we use that with affirmation statements, it's essentially affirming that this happens, this is happening. And our subconscious just runs with it. There's something magical about this word. So linking it again to those kind of I am statements, because I'm good enough, because I believe in the power of what I do, because I'm a skilled professional, that you get whatever result it is you're looking for. So happily selling so much product, believing in the power of what you do, and that this type of business is what's best for you. For people who, if you also have some sort of services, the bottom one is applicable. So it's just kind of that taking, because something is why I achieve my goal. And then, as I talked about, it's getting into that SMART goals, the specific, measurable, attainable, and whatever else the other two stand for. That you have that time and amount. So you set $10,000 of your services products by a certain date, because that gives the universe something to focus on. And I usually leave it open for growth as well. So when I give a dollar amount, it's always got an or more, and I like or more versus at least, because the word least is kind of one of those implicative words where it's kind of focusing more on the negative side of, oh, at least I have this, versus like, no, I have this or more. So it's just kind of that one of those flipping word terms. And then the same thing for dates, just picking that date, whatever it is. And I often recommend having short-term and longer-term goals that you're working on at any given time. So, you set your next monthly goal, maybe a quarterly goal, and a 6-month goal, because you're going to start bringing that energy into now. It starts happening now, because to achieve that goal in 6 months, you need to be taking steps now. And so the ways to do with dates, you can say by or on or before August 31st. So that's the two different ways to not limit yourself to it being on a specific date. It's like, oh yeah, exactly on August 31st. You want to leave that room for it happening before then. And then progressives. So when an idea is hard to get into subconscious, when you have lived in the exact opposite of it for so long and it's so ingrained, we often do what's known as a progressive, where it's more and more now. I know this, I feel this. Because sometimes when we have that really ingrained negative viewpoint, it can take some time, and the subconscious is just going to reject it if you start saying, I now believe I'm worthy. So more and more now, I know and deeply feel I'm worthy. It gives you, it's like, okay, yeah, I can believe that I'm getting worthier and worthier. I can see that. That is acceptable. So sometimes subconscious just needs that. So anytime you're really struggling in that idea, and maybe your mind is just flat out saying, that's bullshit, that's not going to happen, then you can really put in these progressives. And when we deal with anything health related as a side concept, and this could be some fun fact you could actually tell your clients to work with, is day by day in every way, I'm getting better and better. And there's one out there that's a mistranslation from the original French that many of you may or may not have heard of, is every day and every way I'm getting better and better. And that everyday bit gets rejected by the subconscious because it is telling you that now I am better. And the subconscious is like, well, no, I'm not better. So it rejects the rest of the statement. So when you do the day by day, it's like, okay, yeah, same as the more and more now, a little bit each day, I can believe I'm getting better. So I know a lot of you work with people for health goals with the types of products you sell. And so this could be a fun statement to teach them, where they do those 3 deep exhalations, and that day by day in every way, I'm getting better and better, and just kind of saying it to themselves at least 3 times and reinforcing that they're improving. And that would be kind of a fun way to get their mind more engaged with the products they're taking. All right. So we often also need to give ourselves permission. Because again, we live in that state of not being able to do things, being told what not to do all the time, that we sometimes have to remind ourselves that I have permission to do that. And Brene Brown has a great example of this in, I think it's her Dare to Lead book, where she talks about they write permission slips before meetings for themselves. Like, in this meeting, I give myself permission to speak up about what I need or to take time, things like that. So it's just giving yourself permission in whatever form you need. If it's writing a Post-it note and slapping it on your mirror, it's like, I give myself permission to take a break today. Because sometimes when we're building businesses, we forget to pause and breathe. I had last week where my entire week was really full and I was building my to-do list for the entire week because I set it aside each day. And one of the days where I was just back to back, I literally just wrote my to-do list that day was to breathe. And that was giving myself that permission and reminder that all I need to do today is breathe and go through my day. Nothing else needs to happen. Because when you've got that consummate to-do list and other things, and you're trying to build that new business and grow it bigger and bigger, you got to take those breaks as well. So just, give yourself permission for whatever it is you feel like you need permission to do. And then choosing. We often forget we really have choice. We do have a lot of choice. A lot of people will say, I had no choice. I have no choice. And what it is they didn't like the other choice, but there technically was another choice, or sometimes several. So choosing to believe and think things and choosing to do things, sometimes we just have to reinforce that this is a choice I'm doing, and telling ourselves maybe why we're doing it. Like, I choose to build my business by doing X, Y, and Z because I value my family, because I value my financial independence, whatever it is that you're choosing to do it for and why. Connecting it to your why really helps just anchor it in. It's like, oh yeah, because I value my family and my independence and my freedom. Of course, I'm naturally going to go out and build my business because that's what gives me time with my family and freedom. All right, so that was a lot of information really fast. As I said, those are going to be on handouts and everything, but now let's open it up for some Q&A time and just anything else that you guys have questions about. So let me stop share. All right. So questions, raise a physical hand, and just unmute and go and ask Emily.
So I feel, and maybe this is true, maybe it's not, but I feel like when I create an affirmation, it has a lot of strength in the beginning and then it fizzles. How often do you feel revising your affirmations and kind of getting new ones in front of your face carry that weight and that positivity?
So I kind of revise really as needed. When you start to feel it's not helping anymore, then finding out maybe what part of it's not working, or is it now needs something else to it. So I revise frequently as needed, sometimes in the midst of saying a statement, but that's what I do for a living. So it's easy for me to do that. But yeah, it's really working with that goal. And you can even record yourself saying them so you can hear them. With clients, I give them sleep tracks so that they can listen to it while they sleep and it gets in their minds, but then they're not necessarily paying attention to every word and getting bored by it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of maybe changing it up if you need to, saying it in a different way. That is kind of a personal thing. I do often recommend working with something for about 20 days when it's a big focus goal, because it can take that long to really get anchored in.
Okay. I feel like when I get really excited, I have a big one, and then it fizzles and it starts getting a little, I was like, well, I want this many cycles. Oh wait, well, this is a little more believable in my head. And then it starts going down. I'm like, stop it, stop doing that. So I just keep trying to get a perspective. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. And that could be something where it's like, because I remain excited for my goal and I know I'm achieving it day by day in every way, I continue to do XYZ. So you can, absolutely anchor in those kind of things. Like if you feel the fizzle, it's like, I remain joyful, I remain excited. Anybody else have questions?
I just really got a lot of it from overall. It was just, I have a whole bunch of notes. I know there's going to be handouts, but I have to write things down to absorb it better. And it was
Absolutely.
awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, writing down does help anchor it in. That's why I recommend, writing your goals. If you want to put them on little Post-it cards, I got a box of like colorful ones that I can put around my house or take in my car. As I mentioned, you can record yourself pretty easily and have recordings that you say in your car. Like just record your goal and break up statements like, because I am worthy, give yourself that pause, you repeat it, and then I achieve my goal, whatever that is. So things like that, where you're just helping yourself. I know, like, if you spend a lot of time in your car, that can be a great way to do is just record your own affirmation tracks and listen to them and update them. Summer?
Yeah, this is amazing, by the way. Thank you so much. Do you have like a morning routine and like an evening routine where you say affirmations? Do you like time block?
It's whatever works for you. Mine is typically in the morning. I get up and I either listen to a recording for myself or I say things. It's kind of, I have a set time where I'm doing something, but it's not static for me. But yeah, I do try to say my affirmations in the morning and at night. Like I keep usually only 3 to 4 at a time that I'm really focusing on, where it's like at night, I keep it on my nightstand. I just kind of settle myself and then I say those affirmations, preferably 3 times out loud to yourself, because there's a magic number to 3. We don't really know why, but there is some magic to it. So setting aside time for yourself in the day, if that's what works better for you. I typically recommend the morning and night, because when we're closer to that transition period between sleep, our mind is still a little bit more open and relaxed, so it kind of can take in. So if you can only do one of those, I would recommend the morning more than anything, because when you're coming out of sleep, it's a little easier to stay in that state for a minute.
I love that. Thank you so much. And then you said only like 3 or 4 affirmations. So would you do like one from each of the slides that you showed, type of a thing?
It depends. A lot of those, if you look at all the examples that you'll get in a minute, I combined a lot of the different things that I covered on each slide. So like my affirmation statements include different things from each slide. That was me just trying to kind of break them out for educational purposes. But a lot of them I combined the because, it has an I am, it has an emotion, and it has my specific goal. So it's just one statement, but it covers like 5 slides.
That's amazing. I love that.
So yeah, there's a whole list of examples, all those ones I showed for you all. So that kind of shows how to kind of combine it and play with them. So
Kim, can you make me the host again? I'm trying to add the attachment, but I think it won't let me because I'm not the host. You guys, people, I've sent it in Facebook Messenger, and if you don't have it, if I can't do it right now, please message me and I'll make sure you get it, because Kim made this document and it's great. And I use it, like she did one for our networking group. And then since she sent this one, it's definitely like, not that they're identical, but a template and a guideline. And even if I'm like feeling stuck or I want to like second guess and make sure it's not in future tense, you know, that it is, and that joyful, like happy state and those types of things that I really, really like it. And it's a good thing to walk you through. Kim, if you go to my box on the 3 little dots, like if you hover over my box, you can make me the host again.
Okay, that's where I was trying to figure out where it was. I've not actually switched hosts before.
Yeah, no worries at all. Let me see if I can.
Okay.
Because I don't know if it will work through Zoom. Sometimes you can do attachments. It's making me just do it through Dropbox. So I might not be able to send it through here, but let me know and I will make sure you guys all get it for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Kim, where can people find you if they want to reach out, if they either want to, you know, work with you, if they have additional questions, you know, follow you, like things that they can do? Will you either type it in the chat or tell them where they can find you? Her website, you guys, her stories are great. And thank you for doing this. Thank you for hopping on in your lunch hour. And you guys put some focushealing.net is her website. Put some love in the chat. Put a 1 in there if you got some value. Put a 2 if you feel like you're ready to rewrite some of your affirmation statements. Put some takeaways in there. Emily's full of the ones. You just did my like 11-11, which is my favorite. Like, any key takeaways? Let's leave Kim buzzing for the rest of the day and just knowing that she dropped a lot of value and insight to help you guys. And I will say one of the greatest gifts whenever I speak, when someone shares something that they learned with me, that if you have a new affirmation, send it to her on Instagram, tell her, like, look at what I learned from you, and let her be lit up with the affirmations and the intention statements that you guys have created. So have a wonderful Monday. For those of you in my epigenetics business, this is not our team call. I will still see you on tonight for our team call. But thank you so much, Kim, for popping on. We're so grateful. Have a wonderful day, you
Yeah.
guys.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Bye.